Is it on now?
You can turn. She's fasting. I'll just turn that. Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 21. Chapter 22. We're getting through the Sanatan Shiksha. Sanatan Shiksha, Mahaprabhu's famous instructions on Krishna consciousness, to put it very broadly. Like a comprehensive overview of Krishna consciousness, which is then further expanded, reproduced in the literatures of the Goswamis, particularly Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So last time we were talking about, or the Mahaprabhu was talking about the different gradations of devotees and how they are defined essentially on faith, and then there's also a consideration on scriptural understanding. So, different levels of faith. Text 71. Rati prema tara tamye bhakta tara tama ekadasha skandhe tara karyache lakshana. A devotee is considered superlative and superior according to his attachment and love. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the following symptoms have been ascertained. Sarva bhuteshu ya pashyed bhagavad bhavam atmanaha bhutani bhagavat yatmani esha bhagavatotamaha. A person advanced in devotional service sees within everything the soul of souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he always sees the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of all causes, and understands that all things are situated in him. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, text 45. Ishvare tad adineshu balesheshu dvisatsucha prema maitri kripopeksha ya karoti samadhyamaha. An intermediate second-class devotee shows love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is friendly to all devotees, and is very merciful to neophytes and ignorant people. The intermediate devotee neglects those who are envious of devotional service. Further symptoms of that are matched to the various gradations of devotee. So the Madhyam is something that Srila Param Gurudev elaborates on, that a Kanishta devotee will not give attention to other devotees. They'll be concerned with rules and regulations and rituals, etc. You could say the what's the word for a living organism? The inanimate, perhaps you could say, elements of spiritual life, whereas those that concern living beings, other devotees, that becomes a priority for the Madhyamadikari. So a Kanishta-adhikari is unable to give proper respect to other devotees because they're obsessed with the non-living elements of spiritual life, rules, regulations, schedules, number of things being done. How many of this have you done? How many of those things do you do every day? And they're measuring a person's spiritual life based on quantifiable factors. Whereas other devotees are not quantifiable. So if you're giving respect to other devotees, how do you quantify that? You don't. It's something that comes from within. So the Kanishta, the beginning devotee, needs to run their spiritual life according to numbers, quantifiable matters. And thus they tend to neglect those things that are non-quantifiable, such as other Vaishnavas. But eventually, of course, the idea is that from that beginning position, then they make advancement and they graduate to the Madhyam stage where they begin to see the preeminence of the Vaishnav, headed by one's guru, the preeminence, the super importance of the Vaishnav in spiritual life. And as they enter into the Madhyam stage of spiritual growth, then their priorities change from inanimate, giving respect to inanimate rituals associated with spiritual life, to the animate elements of spiritual life, the devotees. There's a purport 2 verses back that I want to read. This is for text 71, where I'll read the translation again. A devotee is considered superlative and superior according to his attachment and love. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the following symptoms have been ascertained. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has stated that if one has developed faith in Krishna consciousness, he is to be considered an eligible candidate for further advancement in Krishna consciousness. So the point being here is that if one has faith, then they're a candidate for future. The future is promising, the future is bright, because they're a candidate for further advancement. In other words, the gates are open, the doors open to make further progress on the condition of faith. So basically describing the imperative quality, the imperative nature of faith. It's essential, the essential nature. Those who have faith are divided into 3 categories: Uttam, Madhyam, and Kanishta. First, second, and third class. First class, second class, and neophyte. A first-class devotee has firm conviction in the revealed scriptures and is expert in arguing according to the Shastras. He is firmly convinced of the science of Krishna consciousness. The Madhyamadikari, or second-class devotee, has firm conviction in Krishna consciousness, but he can't support his conviction by citing Shastric references. The neophyte devotee does not yet have firm faith. In this way, the devotees are typed, classified. It's a weird word, typed. According to their type, categorized according to type. The standard of devotion is also categorized in the same way. A neophyte believes that only love of Krishna or Krishna consciousness is very good, but he may not know that the basis of pure Krishna consciousness or how one can become a perfect devotee. Sometimes in the heart of a neophyte, there is attraction for karma, jnana, or yoga. When he is free and transcendental to mixed devotional activity, Mishra, which is known as, what's mixed devotional activity? Mishra Bhakti, right? Bhakti that is mixed. When he is free and transcendental to mixed devotional activity, he becomes a second-class devotee. When he becomes expert in logic and can refer to the Shastras, he becomes a first-class devotee. The devotees are also described as positive, comparative, and superlative in terms of their love and attachment for Krishna. It should be understood that a Madhyam Adhikari, a second-class devotee, is fully convinced of Krishna consciousness but cannot support his convictions with Shastric reference. A neophyte may fall down by associating with non-devotees because he is not firmly convinced and strongly situated. The second-class devotee, even though he cannot support his position with Shastric reference, can gradually become a first-class devotee by studying Shastras and associating with first-class devotees. However, if the second-class devotee does not advance himself by associating with first-class devotees, he makes no progress. There is no possibility that a first-class devotee will fall down, even though he may mix with non-devotees to preach. Conviction and faith gradually increase to make one Uttam Adhikari, a first-class devotee. So we have definitions here, and sometimes they seem to clash with what we know of devotees. For instance, Gaurakishore Das Babaji Maharaj, our great-great-grandfather guru. Gurudev, Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Thakur Bhaktivinoda. No, Gaurakishore Das Babaji. Grandfather, great-great-grandfather guru. So he was considered pretty much illiterate as far as I know. Couldn't read or write. So how can one be shastrically, but also a confirmed Uttam Adhikari, devotee of the highest order? but he was not scripturally adept. So there are exceptions to the rule. My understanding is that ultimately a person's spiritual adhikar is measured based on faith and what has come about from that faith, as in the cultivated, the culture of faith, as in the bhakti that they possess. That must be the ultimate measure. And then we have secondary measures, such as scriptural expertise. I don't see how scriptural expertise can be a primary measure. I mean, when combined, of course, it's desirable when combined with bhakti. But one can argue that bhakti in itself is complete without one needing to be scripturally adept. Whereas if one is scripturally adept but has no bhakti, of what value is their knowledge? Food for discussion. Text 75. Sarva Mahaguna Gana Vaishnava Sarire Krishna Bhakte Krishna Raguna Sakale Sanchare. A Vaishnav is one who has developed all good transcendental qualities. All the good qualities of Krishna gradually develop in Krishna's devotee. I think we missed a verse. Text 74. Acharyam eva haraye pujam ya shraddhaye hate natad bhakteshu chanyeshu sabhaktaha prakrita smritaha. A prakrita or materialistic devotee does not purposefully study the Shastra and try to understand the actual standard of pure devotional service. Consequently, he does not show proper respect to advanced devotees. He may, however, follow the regulative principles learned from his spiritual master or from his family who worships the deity. He is to be considered on the material platform, although he is trying to advance in devotional service. Such a person is a bhakta praya, neophyte devotee, or bhakta abhasa, which means a shadow, hazy, not fully formed devotee. For he is a little enlightened by Vaishnava philosophy. You see, someone may have very. We see examples. These principles delineated here in the scripture, and we can see them manifest in examples. Someone that may practice the external rules and regulations of devotional life, but then they're very offensive towards other devotees or senior devotees. We see this, we can understand what platform they're on. Sarva Mahaguna Gana Vaishnava Sarire Krishna Bhakte Krishna Raguna Sakale Sanchare. A Vaishnava is one who has developed all good transcendental qualities. All the good qualities of Krishna gradually develop in Krishna's devotee. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarved gunastara samasatte sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manoratinasati davato bahi. In one who has unflinching devotional faith in Krishna, all the good qualities of Krishna and the demigods are consistently manifest. However, he who has no devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no good qualifications because he is engaged in mental concoction and material existence, which is the external feature of the Lord. This was spoken by Bhadrashrava and his followers who are offering prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-12. Se sabaguna haya Vaishnava lakshana sabakaha nayaya karidig darashana. All these transcendental qualities are the characteristics of pure Vaishnavas, and they cannot be fully explained, but I shall try to point out some of the important qualities. Kripalu akrita droha satya sarasama nidosha vadanya mridu suchya kinchana sarvo pakaraka santa krishnaika sharana akama anihastira vijita sadguna mitabuk apramata manada amani gambira karuna maitra kavidakshamoni. Devotees are always merciful, humble, truthful, equal to all, faultless, magnanimous, mild and clean. They are without material possessions, and they perform welfare work for everyone. They are peaceful, surrendered to Krishna, and desireless. They are indifferent to material acquisitions, and are fixed in devotional service. They completely control the 6 bad qualities: lust, anger, greed, and so forth. They eat only as much as required, and they are not inebriated. They are respectful, grave, compassionate, without false prestige. They are friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. Titikshavaha karunakaha sudreha sarvadehinam ajata shatrava santaha sadhava sadhu bhushanaha. Sadhava sadhu bhushanaha. Devotees are always tolerant, forbearing, and very merciful. They are the well-wishers of every living entity. They follow the scriptural injunctions, and because they have no enemies, they are very peaceful. These are the decorations of devotees. Sadhu bhushanaha. Bhakti bhushan, sadhu bhushan. This purport, this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:25-21. When the sages headed by Shonaka inquired about Kapila the incarnation of Godhead, Suta Goswami, who was the topmost devotee of the Lord, quoted talks about self-realization between Maitreya, a friend of Vyasadeva, and Vidura. It was then that the topic of Lord Kapila came up and his discussions with his mother, wherein he stated that attachment to material things is the cause of conditioned life. When a person becomes attached to transcendental things, he is on the path of liberation. Mahat sevam dwaram ahur vimuktish tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantaste samachitaha prasanta vimanyava shudriha sadhavo ye. It is the verdict of all scriptures, it is the verdict of all shastras and great personalities that by serving a pure devotee one attains the path of liberation. However, by associating with materialistic people who are attached to material enjoyment, women, one attains the path of darkness. Those who are actually devotees are broad-minded, equal to everyone, and very peaceful. They never become angry, and they are friendly to all living entities. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.2. Now, here's a good verse. Krishna bhakti janma mula hoy sadhu sangha, Krishna prema janme tenho punamukya anga. The root cause of devotional service to Krishna is association with advanced devotees. Even when one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, association with devotees is still most essential. So at the very base of spiritual growth, spiritual practice, and at the very pinnacle of spiritual achievement, association is of paramount importance. Sadhu Sangha. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mola Hoy Sadhu Sangha. Krishna Prema Tenho Punamuk. Krishna Prema Janmi Tenho Punamukya Anga. Memorize that one. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mola Hoy Sadhu Sangha. Krishna Prema Janme. Krishna Prema Janme Teno Punamukya Anga. Not right then. I memorized it before. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoy Sadhu Sangha. Krishna Prema Janme Teno Punamukya Anga. Bhava pavargo brahmato yada bhavij janasya ta yachutya satsamagamaha satsangamo yahi tadaiva sadgato paravareshe tvai jayatiratahi. O my Lord, O infallible Supreme Person, when a person wandering throughout the universes becomes eligible for liberation from material existence, he gets an opportunity to associate with devotees. When he associates with devotees, his attraction for you is awakened. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal of the Supreme devotees and the Lord of the universe. He becomes eligible. Ata atyantikam kshemam prichamo bhavato nagaha samsare smin kshanardo pi satsanga sevadir nrinam. O devotees, O you who are free from all sins, let me inquire from you about that which is supremely auspicious for all living entities. Association with a pure devotee for even half a moment in this material world is the greatest treasure for human society. Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.30. Now here's a verse from, the aforementioned Kapila Dev. Mentioned where? Poetic. And it's disappeared. Give me 1 second, let me find this. Oh, right. Yes, so, 3rd canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, in the purport, Swami Maharaj Prabhupada is saying that Sonaka and the sages inquired from Sutta Goswami about Kapila Dev. And the discussions with his mother. His mother's name was Devahuti. Their discussions, or his instructions to her, are covered in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So now we have a verse, which I believe is from there. Yeah, okay, so the purport says 3, canto 3. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkana rasanaya katha taj josanad asvapavargavartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramisiti. The spiritually powerful message of Godhead can be properly discussed in a society of devotees, and it is greatly pleasing to hear in that association. If one hears from devotees, the way of transcendental experience quickly opens, and gradually one attains firm faith that in due course develops into attraction and devotion. Shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishyati. What does that mean? Shraddha, ratir, bhaktir, 3 different items or stages, listed consecutively, because anukramishyati means in consecutive, as a continuum, progression. A sequence, anukram. step by step, shraddha, faith, ratir, attachment, bhakti develops in that order, in that consecutivity, in that order. As a result of what? Hearing the scriptures in the association of devotees, or katha in general, in an assembly of devotees. So that is Kapila Dev's expression. Asatsanga tyaga e Vaishnava achara, Sri Sangi eka asadu Krishna bhakta ara. A Vaishnav should always avoid the association of ordinary people. Common people are very much materially attached, especially to women. Vaishnavas should also avoid the company of those who are not devotees of Lord Krishna. Satyam socham dayamonam buddhir hrihi shrir yasakshama samodamo bhagascheti yatsangad yati shankshayam teshva shanteshu mudheshu kandi tatmas vasadushu sangam na kuryach choch yeshu yosit kridam rageshu cha natatasya bhavin moho bandashanya prasangata yosit sangad yata pumso yata tat sangi sangataha. By association with worldly people, one becomes devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, good fortune, and all opportunities. One should not at any time associate with a coarse fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self-realization, who is no more than a toy animal in the hands of a woman. The illusion and bondage that accrue to a man from attachment to any other object are not as complete as that resulting from association with a woman or with men too attached to women. So, of course, all this talk about women and men, etc., it applies to both the genders. It's a general principle. It's not something that just applies to one gender. And another point being made here is that association directly with an object of the senses is actually less damaging spiritually than association with someone addicted to that object. Because by association with that object, you may or may not develop an attraction to it. But it's not recommended, but you may. But with association with someone who's attached to that sense object, you're associating with someone who has faith, but faith in that sense object. So the kind of faith that a devotee does not want to have. They want to have faith in bhakti, not faith in material objects. So that faith of that other person whose faith is placed, rooted in sense objects, is easily transmitted. It's contagious. Faith is somewhat contagious. So association with an animate or inanimate sense object may or may not be contaminating. Often it will be, it's not recommended. But what is definitely contaminating and thus potentially more damaging spiritually is association with someone who has faith, someone who's actively culturing a material life, enthusiastically pursuing enjoyment or attempts at enjoyment through interaction with the sense objects. And of course, any devotee knows that such a pursuit does not produce enjoyment at all. Rather, a roller coaster of pleasure mixed with anxiety, stresses, frustrations. But nonetheless, someone who is unfortunate enough to have faith that such a pursuit is worthwhile, their association is more damaging than direct association with the sense objects. It's kind of a little bit like word of mouth. You may see a product advertised, and it's wherever, on TV, on the internet, And you may or may not believe what that advertisement says. You're directly associating with that product. The advertisement says, this product will do this and do that. You go, maybe. But if you meet someone who says, this product is really great, I love it, it does this, it does that, that word of mouth, that opinion of someone who's actively appreciating that product, associating with that product, has a much more powerful effect on you than looking at that product directly, that advertisement. It's like the faith. That person has faith in the product, and their association, their word of mouth, their testimony is much more powerful. So the same applies with those who are addicted to sense objects. The association of sense objects is one thing. The association of those addicted to sense objects is even more deleterious. Text 91. Varam huta vahajvala panjantar vyavastitihi nashori chinta vimukha jana samvasavaishasham. It is better to accept the miseries of being encaged within bars and surrounded by burning flames than to associate with those bereft of Krishna consciousness. Such association is a very great hardship. It's from the Katyayana Samhita. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Read a section from Revealed Truth by Srila Bhaktisundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. We will read a subchapter from a section entitled Pure Devotion, chapter titled The Transcendental Vibration Form of the Lord, subchapter entitled The Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In the age of Kali, the transcendental vibration form of the Lord's Taraka Brahmanam, appears as the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Though the other Mahamantras are prescribed for the other ages, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is actually the supreme mantram for all ages. Of all mantrams, the Hare Krishna Mahamantram is the best, as it is both the highest and most powerful. Only in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra do we find Lord Sri Krishna with Srimati Radharani, the powerful with his ecstatic power. So only through the Hare Krishna Mahamantra are we directly connected with full-fledged theism, the sonhood of Godhead, and paramour love for the Lord. In this way, we can understand the supreme position of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. I presume full-fledged, the sonhood of Godhead. Okay, well that refers to Vatsalya Ras. And paramour love, of course, Madhura Ras. Also, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is most powerful because only in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is there the full expression of self-surrender and the mood of calling Radha Krishna to appear within our hearts and fulfill our heart's necessity for their service. One of Radharani's names is Hara, and when Hara is called, it is expressed as Hari. Krishna within the Mahamantra is also a vocative expression of Krishna's name. So chanting Hare Krishna actually means calling Radha Krishna and praying for their mercy. In this way, we can understand that through the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we can best fulfill our life's goal of connecting with the transcendental wave of prema. Thus, we are so hopeful that our lives and all our activities will be successful by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Jai Srila Gurudev ki jai, Shri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Do you want to sing? Hri Hara. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Sri Vasadi
Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhara Ji Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pacha Bhakti Nirmal Charja Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pacha Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Gurudev Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pacha Bhakti Rakshak Shri Dhade Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Rupananda Guru Bharat Ki Jai. Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Samveda Vaishnav Mandala Ki Jai. Samveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat West London Ki Jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Jai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Jai. Sankirtan.